The year is 1645, and the English Civil War is coming to an end. But there is still one more battle to be fought. One last chance for Charles I to save his cause and keep his throne and his head. What's up, guys? We are back with the Battle of Naseby here, which is the we're doing with the Pike and Shot Total War mod for Shogun 2 Total War. If you're new to the channel or new to the mod and you haven't checked this out yet, it's well, it's a mod set in the Pike and Shot world, which to be honest, a lot of people have been asking for, and this guy's taken a long time to load his cannon. My gosh, wouldn't certainly get into a Napoleonic army, that's for sure. But yeah, Pike and Shot, a Total War people have kind of been asking for a little time, bit of time, and this Pike and Shot mod is set really around the 30 Years' War, but with the English Civil War also kind of coming into the same sort of period in the 1640s. We also now have the English Civil War factions being added. So we have the Parliamentarians here, the Parliament of England 1642, and then we have Kingdom of England over here, the Royalists over on this side here, also from 1642. So these armies are pretty active, for the time. Not quite at Naseby, but you imagine at this point, most of the regiments that are present at Naseby have been around for a fair amount of the war already. And certainly the commanders that we have here today are also present at this battle historically. We have Charles I himself. He's somewhere along here. I guess maybe he's this guy. I don't know. He's might be one of these guys here, sort of in the center. Don't know. I feel like they need a unique sort of icon for Charles. I guess maybe it's the guy in sort of like all full suit armor there, I guess. Maybe you should have Charles with a crown on. And then the parliamentarian general. I mean, Oliver Cromwell was present at this battle, but we don't have Cromwell. And instead we have Fairfax, Thomas Fairfax, another one of the commanders there. He's kind of, well, from where I'm in, part of the world, York in the UK. Fairfax is quite notable, and he actually saves the cathedral there from being sort of destroyed by the parliamentarians. He kind of buys it and saves it. But there's some pretty fun names. I've been looking at the commanders here. I mean, yeah, along with Cromwell and Fairfax, you've got Henry Ireton and Philip Skippen as the commanders, which they're not that fun. But I feel like the Royalists have some of the funny, silly names. That's for sure. We've got Charles, we've got Prince Rupert. I think we do actually have some of his cuirassiers here. Prince Rupert's regiment of cuirassiers. And there is a unique general for him as well. Lord Astley. And then finally, we have Marmaduke Langdale, which I just think is a great name. I think like Marmaduke, very silly name. And I'm glad we don't have many Marmadukes around these days. I feel like that name might have been left in the 17th century. But yeah, we got a very large sort of royalist army here facing off against the parliamentarians. Both sides have huge cavalry corps. I mean, both sides had about well over 4,000 horse. The parliamentarians had even more. They had 6,000 to the 4,100 of the royalists. The royalists had about 3,300 foot, and then they were facing off against 7,000 foot, sorry, of the parliamentarians. So parliamentarians vastly outnumbered the Royalists at this point. They were very much winning the war. The Royalists, how this battle comes about is because the parliamentarians are marching on Oxford, which is one of the last strongholds that the Royalists really have. So yeah, Charles kind of basically gathers his remaining forces and then calls them to muster at Oxford to defend it, and Naseby's near, sort of in that area, which is where they end up fighting. So yeah, this is, like I said, a last gasp really for Charles to sort of save his kingdom and his head. Otherwise, he's going to lose it, both his head and his kingdom, as he does historically. And Cromwell then rules England for about 11 years, something like that. He rules England as sort of like as a republic. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this one go down. I do like these new factions as well, the English ones. We see a lot of like Spain, HRE, and also Sweden. So it's nice to mix it up and have, yeah, the English and the English here in this one. That's for sure. But yes, let me know in the comments who you think's gonna win. Who you rooting for as well? Are you a parliamentarian or are you a royalist? Are you wanting to see Charles change history? Or are you wanting Cromwell to, you know, well, recreate a history and, you know, take the English throne, I guess, for himself. Not that he really ever crowns himself. He just kind of becomes Lord Protector. But he does actually try to install his son as the next Lord Protector, which kind of suggests he is starting a dynasty. So, yeah, the English nobility in Parliament, they basically get rid of him. And they recall Charles II and ask him to become king once again. But obviously quite more limited as a monarch by that point. Certainly is not an absolute monarchy as Charles I was trying to be. We also have some really silly names here. Hasselrig Lobster's Regiment. I mean, imagine being called a lobster as like your cuirassier. But I guess if you're a cuirassier and you're quite armoured, you kind of do look a bit like a lobster a bit. Got the Yorkshire trained band of musketeers over here. So these boys from where I am in the world. Yeah, the line fight's sort of getting underway. I don't know if they're really in range, to be honest. I didn't think they would be, but yeah, Parliamentarians are apparently coming into range to Thomas Fairfax's own pikeman here, leading the sort of the centre charge from the infantry here. And yeah, Henry Bard with all of his regiment of musketeers and pikes here. And we've got commanded musketeers in the front line. The tiny little 80-man unit. I wonder if these guys are really, really good or something. I do not know. But yes, if you're a fan of the Pike and Shot mod, and you haven't got it yourself yet, and you've got Shogun 2, and you're like, man, I need to try this out, definitely do so. It's an amazing, amazing mod. It's going to be getting a campaign eventually as well. I believe there is going to be a Pike and Shot sort of campaign coming in one form or another. But that is possibly a long, long way down the line. So they've got to obviously alter the map and everything like that to look like Europe rather than Japan. But yeah, if you haven't got the mod, I'll leave a link for it in the description. I'll leave a link as well for their Discord, which is also probably the best thing to join if you have any issues with like installing or also just want to find games to play yourself. We've got Cromwell's Ironsides here. Oh, these are kind of what the parliamentarian infantry and certainly the cavalry. Well, certainly I think certainly the cavalry is called. Certainly the parliamentarian army is kind of known as the Ironsides a little bit. But yeah, we have loads of them set up here. We have more of the lobsters as well. And they're coming straight down the centre of the line, which is very, very interesting because, yeah, most of the cav out on the flanks for the Royalists, they have a little bit of their own in the centre here, actually. We have the King's Lifeguard of Horse Cuirassiers, what these guys look like. We will come back and have a look at the actual engagement, but nothing yet really happening. Don't look anything too fancy, but I imagine they are pretty damn good, all these Lifeguard Cuirassiers here. And they are in a moment going to be taking on, yeah, the Ironsides, which are probably like the similar alternative, really, to the Lifeguards for the Parliamentarians. They're the most elite and most famed unit, that's for sure, of the Parliamentarian army. We've got Alexander Popham's cuirassiers over here as well. But yeah, the Royalists now advancing. Interesting to see, because they are definitely outnumbered, I'd say, when it comes to infantry here. Vastly outnumbered. Yeah, they are pushing forward. There's a whole load of reserves, as you can see back there, for the Parliamentarians. This first, and like the Royalists, after this engages the infantry, not a lot of reserves really going here. But yeah, here we go. Actually, in goes cavalry as well. There goes the regiment of the cuirassiers, charging into the Yorkshire trained musketeers there, doing as much damage as they can. Then the commanded musketeers staying right out the front, which is interesting to see, trying to blast their way through, and the musketeers are going to break immediately. We've got Southwark musketeers running into melee to try and assist the cuirassiers. And yeah, actually already it looks like the Royalists kind of losing these fights. Musketeers here, the commanded ones getting killed after being piked in the front. Probably piked by friend and foe a little bit there. Lord Hopton's over here, regiments of musketeers trying to hold the front line, but it looks like, again, more commanded musketeers breaking really, really quickly there. Got more infantry shifting forward. The Duke of Newcastle's infantry being shifted forward to the front now. He needs to probably over here, but it looks like we're going to see the Lifeguard Horse Cuirassiers go forward in a moment to try and save the situation here because, yeah, it looks like Thomas Fairfax's infantry here breaking through really quickly. Henry Bard's boys cannot hold the line, and here come the Lifeguards. And in there you go. Oh my gosh, horsemen flying as they charge. Pikemen, definitely not a wise idea. But in they go, and I think the Ironsides are now reacting as well, as you can see back there. They both look pretty much identical, which I guess maybe at this point they did, I guess. Both sides probably are access to the same kit, to be honest. Certainly in the beginning of the war, Parliamentarians are actually at a disadvantage, and the Royalists, because their infantry and their regiments actually have all the actually go abroad and fight quite a lot in the European wars there, actually are better than the Parliamentarians until they have their reforms. Cavalry going in here, the It looks like some of the cavalry here for the Royalists actually saved the situation here on this left flank of the infantry fight. It looks like more cuirasses here routing. Actually, yeah, it looks like the Cav doing pretty well. I would say generally Royalist Cav much better than the Parliamentarians. And as you can see here, it looks like the Lifeguard horse cuirasses are absolutely stomping Thomas Fairfax's pikes and musketeers as they turn that fight around. And they're actually defeating the Ironsides as well by the looks of it. And it looks like Lord Hopton's Royalists have managed to turn around this sort of infantry fight here, with Newcastle setting up sort of an angle here. He's also trying to stop the Earl of Essex's infantry come forward. But it looks like some of the more of Lord Hopton's musketeers are probably going to break, probably because they're getting flanked by some more of the Parliamentarians there. And actually that looks like it's going to be a complete collapse there of Lord Hopton's line pretty much, apart from one unit. They're going to need some more Lifeguards there to go and deal with the situation. But yeah, Henry Bard on the brink of defeat, but has actually managed to turn that around. Volleys there from more cuirasses for the Royalists there. They need to be careful not to hit their own boys. That's for sure. Kind of hard to tell who's friend and foe, though, if you were firing into a mess like this. Look at that. Just a lot of beige and armor, which is kind of why I don't do a lot of close-ups, really, for Pike and Shot. The uniforms aren't easy distinguishable, even when you're playing like Sweden versus like Spain or something like that. Like most of the guys are all in browns and stuff like that. People aren't really going for the age of bright uniforms like in the Napoleonic Wars. And there you go, though. Some more of Alexander Popham's cuirasses going in. They've dealt with these Bard musketeers. The pikes are still holding. We've got more Lifeguard horse cuirasses going across, and like I said, they're coming over here to help the Earl of Newcastle, the Duke of Newcastle out. It looks like this standoff is going on for still quite a while. Thomas Fairfax is over there, and I think the King he was in the middle, and he still is, and he's actually not coming forward to inspire at all in a massive cav fight now starting to take place on the Royalist left, Parliamentarian right. Like I said, I personally feel like Royalist cav's better. It seems to, in like the two battles I've covered, they've had an absolute storm. Whether that's just the player's knowledge of just how to use the cavalry better, or it is just actually that Royalist cav is just much better, which it could be, which would make sense. The Royalists, they train a lot on horseback. And as I say that, it looks like all of John Culpepper's cuirasses here have routed immediately. We've got the Queen's Regiment of Horse cuirasses going in. They probably are going to be pretty decent, though, you'd imagine. We've got more harquebusiers here, actually, flanking around. Looks like, I don't know if the Royalists have access to harquebusiers. Certainly the Parliamentarians do. They're making good use of them here. They're more like a skirmish cav. The cuirasses, they don't really use carbines, they just use pistols before they go into combat. But the harquebusiers, they kind of blast, then charge a bit. But yeah, cuirass is more of your melee cav. This is looking bad, though, as you can see here. Alexander Popham's cuirass is getting in behind, and that's actually helped rout a lot of the infantry there. So that left the Royalists is kind of gone. We still got this is the King's Lifeguard musketeers here. These guys are in the red, though. They're residing by all the Lifeguards. That's cool to see. So they are probably going to have to be sending soon somewhere, probably to the left. That's where we're going to need to be going. This is still looking pretty messy. Looks like Newcastle's going to come out of this one looking just about okay, but he owes his victories really to the Lifeguard of horse cuirasses, which again are kind of saving the situation. We got the Westminster Regiment of Pikes, which makes sense because, well, that's where Parliament is. They would probably recruit a lot from Westminster. Westminster Regiment of Musketeers in here fighting against the King's Lifeguard. It is great that they're going with historical sort of uniforms and what they look like, but my gosh, is it hard to differentiate who's who, which is something that Total War, if they were to bring out their own Pike and Shot sort of game, would be doing. They'd be like, right, Sweden, probably like a bright yellow or something like, or a blue, really bright yellows and blues. Like France probably in white. Spanish probably in yellow as well, to be honest, which would be confusing. There you go. This is a problem actually for the Royalists. We've got some cuirasses in behind here. There is some Bard musketeers that re-rallied. The King is pretty close to being attacked by them, but general bodyguards, Pike and Shot, generally actually can hold their own relatively well. The danger is actually being shot, not charged by cavalry. This is not looking good for the Royalists, I'd say. A lot of wavering units here. Have still got a lot of steady ones. The Queen's Regiment of Horse cuirasses, like I said, look like they are nasty units and are holding what looks like a lot of parliamentarians in place. But it's a bit like NTW3. Once a unit starts to break, it sort of, you know, passes to the next unit around it. It sort of becomes like wildfire. It spreads really quickly. We've got lancers in here, I just realized. Like, it's a lance. Yeah, Scottish mercenary lancers in there. I don't know if you can easily see them, but there are lancers in there. They can't be easy to use those. Now, you probably wanted to keep those out of the fight and sort of side charge now that the fight's taking place. But yeah, they actually are dying pretty quickly. Cat fight on the right-hand side. Again, not looking good for the Royalists. I've been pumping these guys up saying they would do great. Maybe it was just the last battle. They just were insane. Yeah, Charles Gerrard here. No relation to Steven Gerrard, the Liverpool legend. These cuirassiers, they're all routing. I mean, it looks like they have more, and they have the Ironsides here as well. Yeah, they have, oh my gosh, yeah, they've got a few of the Ironsides and the Harquebusiers. Whether they're getting decent volleys off before they're going in with the Harquebusiers. Also, the generals here, he must be helping massively with like inspires and sort of abilities with Fairfax. And now he's sort of getting rear charges, encircling these guys. You see there, concerted attack in the rear is this regiment of cuirassiers there. It looks like it looks like it's going better, to be honest, for the parliamentarians in this right flank, even better than on the left flank. The center, they kind of, I don't know, they kind of got stopped by the Royalists, and the Royalists have done a pretty good job. The left, yeah, I mean, they've won that one of these these fights. They've still got another one here to win against the Queen's Regiment of Horse, which are exhausted now. I mean, if they get charged in the back, they're just shot in the back. That might be enough to deal with these guys. There's a lot of units here just pinned. And yeah, morale is starting to affect even the elite Queen's Regiment here. Royalists are going to need a bit of a miracle, and it does seem like even in history, even as it was in history, it seems like they're outnumbered. I don't know if they have gone for sort of like accurate sort of numbers, which they might have done. But yeah, they might have, because yeah, the parliamentarians just seem to be everywhere. They just have, you know, endless reserves. And you can see there, yeah, more of the Queen's Regiment of Horse here that will help in this other fight, getting rear charged there by some more Harquebusiers. And even though they're necessarily not as in the same weight class as the cuirassiers, just rear charging, they're routing a whole bunch of those, and they're properly routing as well. And that might mean curtains for the left flank. We've got a whole bunch of the King's Life Guard units here set up. Yeah, you got the Commanding Musketeers firing head on. We've got these Lifeguard Musketeers on the side, ready to side shot. They are preparing for the worst, this formation here. We've got the Pikes in square formation. They are ready to box up and just stay there. They're ready for an immobile game. That's for sure. A lot of parliamentarians now pulling out of the fights that they've been in because they don't need to be in this fight necessarily anymore. There's like one cuirassier here. Against 6 or 7 units, does not need to be the case. They can just, get some of the units out, go for rear charges, or just use them elsewhere if they want to. Charles, I think, is still with us, though I haven't seen him in a while. Fairfax is obviously still in the fight. I haven't seen Charles, you know, actually. And I'm a little concerned he might be gone. King's Life Guard, they're routing. That's bad. I know Charles has just retreated further back. He honestly should just get to the front line. Like, get to the front, support maybe your Life Guard foot. I mean, they've used Fairfax pretty aggressively, and I don't blame them. I think that's helped clinch them in the game a little bit. I think using your general is a must, really, in Pike and Shot. Obviously, you risk losing him, and morale is huge. But by not using him, like him being so far back, because generals have like a sort of, it's not marked and showing, but they have I'm pretty sure they have a center of sort of influence around them, like a circle of influence around them. And he's not really using that because he's so far back. Nothing back there is being helped with morale boost with the general being close. And these cuirassiers, I feel like, could have done with it, to be honest. Because if they do, I think they vastly are better. Like, man for man, there's some, like the Ironsides, I'd say are probably better than most of the Royalist cavalry, bar maybe like the Life Guards, maybe the Queen's Regiment. But I'd say, like, generally unit for unit, I'd say the Royalists are better. Like these Prince Rupert units are pretty good. They're in the nice royal blue, which they're easy to distinguish. That's handy. Thank you, Prince Rupert. But yeah, like I'd say, like, yeah, most like these just bar the Ironsides, like the William Balfour, well, they're the Harquebusiers anyway. But like Alexander Papham and some other units, they're just not as good. The Lobsters, as well, I'd agree. These guys kind of got rinsed in the last one I saw. Whether that's, again, was the player, I'm not sure. But there you go. That's pretty much the right flank for cavalry done and dusted as well. And it's just a matter of time now until the Royalist cause in the center of their infantry actually gives way. The lifeguards in their red uniforms, easy to pick out. I mean, actually, I say that. Fairfax's boys are all in red as well, which does not help. And actually, that is just a mass drought. Charles is, well, he's going to survive. He's on redlining, but he's not going to be keeping his head, that's for sure. And there you go, a mass drought for the Royalists. And that is a GG. I think we're just going to have to see Charles charge towards some cavalry here for him to rout. The player just trying to get this over and done with. And there you go, the Battle of Naseby is going to go like history. And it's going to be a parliamentarian victory. And it started off pretty well, I felt like, for the Royalists, in the sense they took losses. They managed to defeat the initial first wave, I'd say, of the parliamentarians. I think the cavalry fights, obviously, huge. They didn't win those. And because Charles was not supporting any of them, that also made a massive difference, I personally felt like. Because he should have been on one of the flanks, so they just got a morale advantage. And that could have been huge. And there you go. We've been completely destroyed. We'll end the battle. And I'll see you guys in a moment for the end results. And here we are with the end results. So it's a victory for Zamnot, who was playing as the parliamentarians. I mean, look at the size of the army. That actually generally could be around historical numbers, actually, for his force. Maybe a little actually under. I think it was more like 13,000, but yeah, you're getting close to historical numbers there. Itchy's army definitely is, yeah, relatively, again, I'd say it's getting close. I think that is near about historical numbers. They had like, what, yeah, like 3,000 foot, again, and about 4,000 horse or something like that. It's somewhere around that. I can't remember the numbers I quoted, but yeah, it's around about that number. But yeah, vastly outnumbered. So Zamnot just was able to sort of swarm with his troops. We'll have a quick look at his kills. 309 there with the cuirassiers, the pikes with 236 kills, arquebusiers 228, 216 with the pikemen, and musketeers 160 kills, 158 with some arquebusiers. The lobsters getting 147 there, 143 with the Alexander Pophams. What got the best, actually? Yeah, the Pophams. So yeah, the Ironside's nowhere to be seen. Yeah, they're not down. They're here though with 119. But there are the rest of the kills. If you want to look at those for Zamnot. Fairfax getting kills. I didn't. 39. Not bad for him. That's nearly every man getting a kill. And yeah, I mean, look at that. Just as units go on and on and on. Then we have Itchy here with the Royalists. Henry Bard's pikeman getting the most kills for him, 193. The lifeguard of horse cuirassiers getting 112. And the lifeguard foot of musketeers getting 100 kills, and I didn't even think they really participated that much. Surprised more of the lifeguard horse cuirassiers did not get more kills. Only 3 units getting triple figures there, which is actually pretty shocking, to be honest, for the Royalists. A lot of cuirassiers underperformed, as we're seeing here. Yeah, so many of like these Charles Gerard and Rupert's getting like 13, 14 kills. Pretty poor, and like I said, I feel like Charles I needed to be a bit further forward to the front to support his boys. But there you go, that is the Battle of Naseby, ladies and gents. If you did enjoy and want to see more, do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and a comment to show your support. And I'll see you folks in the next Pike and Shot battle. Until then, check out the ones appearing on your screen, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.